Hey people, I seen this on Facebook. I don't know where it's at, but welcome tourists. We speaking lies. Made me think about the word English, how it was put together with the symbols, and just like the Greek, one symbol can change the meaning, like putting an A on front of a word in the Greek. And so this last movie, I always put this big yellow, red, black font so people can recognize, they know it's my movie. And I noticed I got a lot more views on this than where I shrunk it up yesterday. And I got a comment on it. It was from Samuel Adams, and something in here he said, they won't let this comment show up. It's one I had to go search for. He says, the Knights Templars, the snake is a viper, a poisonous snake that lives in the mountains of France, where they hid out after Friday the 13th, the day when there was a price put on their head and had to go into hiding. He said, I'm talking about the inscription on the inside of that ring. And that just puts it all together. I tell you, in this movie, that symbol of that cross, the Templars' cross was the symbol of the Cretan of Egypt, the best it has to offer. And that's the way the Templars see themselves. That's why they wear that Templar cross. I found it in Genesis 2 where I was reading about the four rivers. And so the four rivers in the Greek, there's the potamus. That's where you word hippopotamus. They say the hippo is the horse and the potamus is the river. And I showed where that's not exactly what it means. And it actually comes from the pot on the head. But it simply means the potom has. And you see it on Serapes and Dionysius and several others where the pot on their head, the potom has. And they say Serapes was blended into Dionysius, which was the god that they fed the Egyptians about the same time as Serapes, about 300 BC is what they say this was going on. You see it here with Dionysius with a pot on his head. Bacchus, Dionysius, the same, god of wine. And they got a lot on Dionysius, and you often see him riding a tiger or wearing a tiger skin, or sometimes as a fat bastard with tigers pulling his chariot, always ravishing the women, and a broken phallus symbol at his sights, but often riding a tiger that they got spotted like a leopard. But I imagine these times these painters didn't get around to see a whole lot. They didn't have television. But again, with the tiger under his chair, that's the Tigris River, loved by all the women. Again with a spotted leopard here. And here's an old one. Here he is with wings on a tiger. You can see the stripes now. So I imagine this was somebody down in Greece that made it down to Africa to see a tiger. You can see him here. It looks like old Michelangelo's Adam, but still wearing the cat skin pot head. And again with a leopard. Here, this looks Greek with tigers pulling his carriage. And it just simplifies that he was catting. He was always catting, chasing the women. And so if you don't like my pronunciation of DIONUSOS, I'm going to tell you what this means. You have a day on and was as. And so if you tell your buddy a story about the work you did, and it was the day on was as, but die on is after the die light, sun died, the night on was as. And when you're telling a story, it's just, and the night on was as, it means, it means I was drunk. I don't remember that night, the night on was as. It doesn't matter what language you read in, it says the same thing, the yawn, that's the Hebrew word they say is day. The yawn, the day, the dion, not the day, to remove the day. The night was as. And so anytime you start a story off with that, the night was as, you imagine you start a lot of stories with that, and it might be the night was as you was sacrificing to the demons in the woods, or you might have been with your buddies out drinking, That's all it means, the night was as. And so the artist is telling a story here, and it's the night was as catting upon. When you see him with Pan, the night was as scatting upon. And I imagine this might be Helen, But my mind first goes to the Hebrew, the asset. Night was as has it, the catting. And sometime, it was the night was as bottom was. I went down to the river. The night was as bottom was. And you see Opotamus it's usually a crocodile on her back, but here it looks like it's got the tiger stripes and carries the symbol of Sa. And so Sa, it's a different symbol, but it's the same sound for the Egyptian sign of the stars, the night, the Sa. They had two different symbols for Sa. And if you put the two of them together and add a tail, you get a better idea what it means. And that's why the words for eat in Hebrew and Greek, is a cell or phagest. And so if you look into gods riding tigers, you see there's several of them, that their mount was the tiger in the Indian religion, and it's the most accepted. And so they say his cult, followed Selene, which was Dionysus' tutor, Papa Silenus. And so they say he was blended into Serapis, which was to replace the old religion of Osiris and Apis. The Indians had several gods that had a tiger mount. And Wiki will give you this list of all the Indian gods that had a tiger mount. And this is their most loved, considered to be the epitome of Dharma, truth and righteousness, and is often called upon to obliterate evil, and remains one of the few deities in the Hindu tradition respected by the other religious communities, including Muslims and Christians, and is time observed around the winter solstice. Major party, biggest party in India. Every year people get barefooted and walk thousands of miles. And just like the ancient Egyptian, the Hebrew, and the Greek, everybody's named for a reason. And so this could be in any town that Heya, Apana, and you come back and read these Indian names again, Apana Yappin. Hey, Apana Yappin. He just catches you out in the street. Hey, Apana Yappin. And you don't have to know the guy's birth name, but when you're talking to your buddy, and hey, Apana Yappin, you're telling the story. And it means just came right on in, not shy about it, and started yapping. He might have seen some evil going on over there and just bounce right on up there and go to yap and ease the tension. And, with all the new technology, the language is changing again fast, but, that's the way the old timers would tell a story. Instead of coming up with a paragraph to explain, well, it's this guy, the guy at the front gate that talks to everybody every day he's out there, Everybody knew that the story of Hey Apana Yappin. He was the third son of Noah, Yapit. And so they say that's about the same time that the Septuagint was written, which is the Old Testament Greek. And it calls out Serapis all through here. And it calls them in several different ways. The Potom has the of poor, the weddage, his poor weddage. And he was also to the crucian of this gasoline. You don't see it here, but the EK is the EL. And, that was his teacher. He was to the crucian. He was raised up of this, the earth of Selene. Silenus, he was companion and tutor to the wine god, the Nidon was. So when he went to visit, it was the Nidon was the gasoline. And so it was a little stronger than wine that they were drinking. And so when it says, and the gold of that land is good, it means to the crucian of this gasoline. It means they got black gold, the oil, to call on. And I believe this is right where I left off in that last movie. And so, I was telling you, the arches, that's the first word in the Bible, and I tell you it means the secrets. And onomato, the knife is on utus. And so this isn't what this means, this is what the picture shows. Onomato, the knife is on utus. And utus is widget, utu. And onomato, the knife is on utus. You always see him with his tail coming out of this tree. And so when it says in the Bible that God removed the serpent's legs, this is what it takes to remove the serpent's legs. And, if you're reading it in Latin, to deny is to refuse. And so to deny means to let, in a motto, to let, to bleed somebody, to let them, to let piss on utus. And so to get it, you kind of have to picture, the serpent is time, and who wants to cut time is onomato in aficionados. Aficionados, they're always watching the clock, trying to get the most out of the time of a cyclone. And of the Cuculon pheasant engine. The Cuculon pheasant engine, that sounds like, the plumed serpent, the cycle to control, cycle control. The Q it's all on sought, Kukulkan, the vision serpent, the South American, the Venus god, the pheasant engine. They say the word widget signifies blue or green. That would be Venus. And that would be this symbol here. And they say this is a Ra, and they think it means the sun. It just means the planet. You see it on Genesis 1, everything is come the Ra, come the planet one. And so the first day, it wasn't one, it was Rami, plural. It was the branches. And so, this isn't one here. This is the inaficionados. And onomato inaficionados. Of cycle on, phase on. Then gone. The while I tell you. The while I tell you. The EKE become the ELE. And the while, WILA. Tell. The while I tell you, is it to crucian? Is it to top? What you're trying to extract. The motto and the crucian on top. And if you watch for these D and T mix-ups, you can see this is, thy, who, it, from, android. And that would be where your word from man come from, Andre, on, there, upon, in the Greek, you see. But yeah, we all androids, and we trying to crucian, get the crucian out, the crest out. So onomato in aficionados of the cycle on, phase on, then gone. Hey, don't waste it. There's only so much gasoline. Onomato aficionados. It comes in a cycle, and then the phase is on, then gone. You better take care of it. And the while I tell you, is it to crucian, to the extracting. And to the crucian this gasoline. Call on, we lay, is it in. The call on, we lay, is it in. On track, and of light as, of praise and as. And so praise, and that comes from your word, phrase and phrases. But it's also, the O reads as a of or and with the F following it, you don't hear it, And of raise and as. On tracks to a light as, of raise and as. And that was that first word that it set up there to divide the light. Was it will on, array on. This is the yawn is the day. And will honor the day his horizon, and call on his bruising, and talks will on this Susan turn. Me sort of parade is of, and the talks, the text, the taxonomy will on to hide not the Nostin. The light call upon her of. For the wettage its seed, infotize in it on, parade is of, over the days of, the light in, aquaries it, his tesser are as, his collector are as searches. Onomato in aficionados of the cyclone. So it plainly says, in the first days that they had gasoline-powered lights, and to the Crucian this gasoline has call on to hear a key. The call on will layest in of on tracks, and of light as of a raisin ad. But you have to think about, the guy that's writing this, it's to the Crucian, to the cream of the crop of the sedges, the paper of Selene, God of knowledge. And so, gasoline, that's for writers and readers. That's the Crucian of this gasoline, to the Crucian to extract out. That's what I'm doing. I don't know if y'all are doing it, but, this is what I feel as I do it, to the Crucian, to extract out the Crucian of this gasoline, of this knowledge. And it trips me out how everything associates with all these old gods, with the characteristics, so you'd know what that word means. And, to the book burners, that was their gasoline, was the knowledge. And to the Crucian, this gasoline's call on, and here is it in of on tracks, delivered to the houses, and of light as of raisin as. And so the next one is, it looks like it started a couple lines up with the motto. It's on atop it, a motto, over the motto, and on atop it, tomato. So where your word, the tomato, come from? Where you reckon that word come from? That big red sun on atop a tomato. This is on atop a tomato. You the serpent that's on top of the tomato. The motto that goes on top. And onomatop at a motto. And the uterogen. And that's the utero, the feminine. It's also a word, erogen, erogenatos. And so the second, that was her that, the what? The what? Erogen. The erogenatos, the two of them together. Of cyclone passing, then gone, adiophase. Atheo, his own, adio, his own phase. Each own phase, their own phase. And onomatopet, a motto, the uterogean autos of cycle on passion, then gone adiophase. The adiophase. I would think it come from idio, meaning own or personal, distinct, and phases or faces, and appearance. And so it gets this phase of growth, during the secondary metabolites are produced. It gives it its own phase. Metabolism having to do with change, metamorphosis. And so it's not just, a motto here, but it's and onomatopet, a motto, on top of her. Onomatopet, a motto, to the utero, to the utero. The duet, the two erogen onatos. A cycle on, pass on, then gone his own face. And of the bottom as at ridos. And as the bottom has it ridos, those types that ride, And the bottom has it ride as the tigers ought to's. As the tigers ought to's. And the bottom has it ride as tigers ought to's. Of proper women has scatting on it ass, whereon of the bottom has of teeter. You know, teeter, when something has four legs, it's teeter. As the teeter twos who frets, you know, to fraternize. You know, and of the bottom has who's sitting on at ride as tiger. The tiger he sought as. And so this is, you know, but it's also, you know, OF of, you know, of proper women has is of rapport who of men as. Of rapport of who men has is proper women as. You know, that means give them a proper, well, that's all she needs, a proper rooting. And this evolved to rapport, a close and harmonious relationship, because they didn't want you to know what that really said, a proper rooting. You know, the proper women as scatting on it ass, wary on of the bottom as at it are twos, you know, them ones who are at it, is at it are twos who frets. Well of curious of the Austin on thereupon, you know, the spin on thereupon, or the coming up in the east, on the place to edit, the edit to oughtn't, you shouldn't change the place, into parody so, here gazes they, oughtn't a fool as seen, you know, oughtn't a fool as seen. All the made men, you know, the Essenes. You know, of the made men, you know, you had the Pharisees, the Sadducees, and the Essenes. You know, and they was the guards, and they carried all the shiny weapons, and they could some pull ass in. It was their job to pull ass in. And so, you know, this K may be reading as an L. I read it when the E follows in the Septuagint. But this isn't a written law, it's just something I'm trying to figure out. And it's possibly this reads as an L, as in allurious. Well of allurious of the Austin on thereupon, of the place to edit to oughtn't, into paradiso. Here gazes they aton and pull ass in. And the full ass in. So this lab here, meaning to take, means to look at the stars, take the dimensions. And so we'll have, it means we lab, we take dimensions. And we'll have Elurius. That was the Greek name for Bastet. You know, it's Elurus. And I believe I remember somewhere that she had something to do with the uniting of the upper and lower kingdoms, which were never on earth. You know, it's talking about uniting the heavens, the crossing. And the labaloris of the Austin on thereupon, on the place to edit, you know, to put, where you write it down, to edit a ton. And you know, when you word tetragrammaton, they say it's the four-letter name of God. But they say the tetra is the four and the gramma is the letter or word. And that would leave aton meaning God, you know, the edit to God. And the place in edit to God, the aton. You know, this is the old editaton. You know, it's got all the four-letter names of God out here, you know, to change the percentages. You know, and this is what they call the aton, these sun rays coming off of here. It'll have thought, you know, the god of Egypt here, and Allah, the god of the Arabs, Yahweh, the god of the Hebrews. It was all one big religion. All 72 of these religions were all part of one science. If you couldn't figure out the science, you know, you got your King James, made a religion out of it. But if you understood the astrology and you could peel these words out of here, we laballurus of the Austin on thereupon, of the oxen, as how they feed from the east on their upon. On the place to edit to a ton, on the place to edit to a ton, into parodies, make parodies, along with the days. So, write it as something that happened on earth. The parodies of the heavens are in the story, the time. Here gazes they upon a fool as seen. And so once again, this shows why I have so little respect for the Christians and Jews. Nobody has ever read it. They just repeat what they've been told. But it plainly says place and edit, not shape and put. God didn't create the man. He placed and edited, placed and changed. Man was already there. He edited your genes from a monkey. Look it up at a RH factor. Why do they always talk about a RH factor in your blood? It's because most of you humans have a gene in them that's only found in one other place in the universe, and it's in the RH monkey, the rhesus monkey. Either God thought we should have a little more monkey in us, so he pulled it out the monkey and put it in us, or he pulled us out the monkey. Alright, I had enough fun. I cut this off here. And I got 2 more lines. I read this. I'm not. You know what? The next movie, I'm going to go read the days. I done learned some stuff on the days on the first page in Greek. I'm going to read the days in the next movie. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to read these 2 lines and go over all this again. And then I'm going to finish reading this whole chapter. And then I'll go back to do all of one. I think it'd be easier to understand. Watch what you digest.
Don't forget. I won't forget.
Alright, I'm going to cut this off here. Good day.